Hey everyone, it's me, Amelia Lady B. It has been a while since I posted a video on YouTube, but I have been pretty active on my Instagram, but I'm so sorry about that. I'm going to do a lot better with YouTube. I didn't have a plan for a YouTube video. Typically, sometimes things come up and I'll create a video, but a lot of the things that I've been doing have been on Instagram because they're kind of been shorter videos and things like that. But I guess for YouTube it really doesn't matter. I don't want to disappoint anybody because I've been getting pretty good feedback about the information that I do provide here on YouTube, and so I want to keep things going. Today I was actually driving in my car on the way home from the farmer's market, and so I was just sitting there thinking, and I was talking to myself, I was praying, and I was at the same time encouraging myself. And I said, you know what? I think that not all of my YouTube videos have to be informative information about surgical menopause or about endometriosis or anything like that. I think they can be encouraging. And so I really wanted to just create this video to encourage someone during their journey with surgical menopause. And I know that it may not seem like it's something that needs encouragement to outside individuals. And it's the same thing with when you're dealing with a chronic illness, because it's something that's not visible per se. It's visible when we have a hot flash or something, but it's not visible. The things that are happening on the inside of us is not visible. You know, our hormones are changing out of the wazoo, and this applies to women in menopause as well. I say it's a little bit different for women who are dealing with surgical menopause, especially for those of us who may have never been able to have children and had radical hysterectomies. So there's no chances of us having children, or maybe it's just difficult because it's just difficult. It's mental. You know, we are givers of life. You know, we can create life. Life grows inside of us. A lot of us are young women who are dealing with surgical menopause. Some are older as well, and that still doesn't negate the fact that they don't feel any emotional turmoil that's going on in the mind and the body and everything else. And so we need encouragement through this process because we have so many questions that can't be answered directly. So there can't be a question of, well, what can I do for my symptoms? Well, you could do hormone replacement therapy. You could just, do this. And it's like, but what are the side effects? Well, there's a 50-50 chance of cancer or heart disease or this, and you're freaking out. Not only that, on top of the regular symptoms of menopause, and which or risk factors of menopause, which are it can be high blood pressure, heart disease, especially depending on your family history. It can be osteoporosis. Later on down the road, as I was reading, Alzheimer's disease is so Alzheimer's disease is a risk factor as well later on down the road. Insert brain fog, because pretty much a typical symptom is brain fog. So it's like, how do you stop all these things from happening? How do you manage your menopausal symptoms? How do you manage your mental health as well? And so in a lot of my videos, I do discuss or talk about, I talk about mental health. I talk about seeing a therapist, things like that, which is very important. I've also talked about my faith as well. I have to pray a lot. I have to sit in silence a lot, meditate a lot on the word of God, meditate on just his sovereignty in who he is in my life, and really sit and think about what I want the next year, 5 months, or even, okay, so starting at 5 months, the next year or something to look like, because it can't be me downward spiraling into moods that are overtaking me. And that can very much so happen, especially if when you were on your period, you really had bad PMS or something, and it really magnifies things times 20. To me, I feel like it's like times 20. I often joke and be like, I have dissociative identity disorder, which is multiple personality disorder. And so I'm like, man, it's like from minute to minute, you don't know who you're dealing with, right? And like in your mind, you think you're going crazy. You're really not going crazy. You're not. You're really not. Our emotions are at an extreme, high. We are very sensitive, whether it be crying or whether it be anger. We're very sensitive, and it's like little things. It's like you have a click in your head or something. It's like you just go to an extreme, and sometimes it's almost like an outer body experience. And you're like, what the heck just happened? And you're trying to stop yourself, but it's already too late. You cannot stop. You can't stop yourself. I actually had a moment a couple months ago at work. Yeah. In a meeting. And I just went off. When my supervisor called my name, she's like, Amelia. And I went off. I'm like, I don't want to volunteer for anything. This is just a job. Just put my name down. I mean, I just went completely off. And like inside of me, I was like, what are you doing? Like, no, you're saying this out loud. This isn't in your head. Because you know how you have those moments where you're saying stuff in your head, but they come out. Yep, that moment. And I was like, oh, shoot. And I kind of felt bad. And I said, you know what? It was like I felt bad, but still, I was like, no. I was justified. I'm tired of these long behind meetings, getting on my nerves, blah, blah, blah. So the next day during my supervision, we have monthly supervision. So during my supervision, I talked to her and I apologized. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I really am. I'm very sorry. And so, yeah. So it was right then and there. I was like, okay, Amelia, you have to take better control of your emotions. You really have to stop and think about, like, when you feel that rise of anger or whatever it may be, even if it's just like hardcore crying or something like that. Now, one thing I will say is, like, when it comes to crying, I say let your emotions out. I know a lot of times we don't want people to see us cry, so I'll go to the bathroom, I'll just excuse myself or something, and I'll just go cry. But in the midst of anger, you have to recognize when that comes, and if you have the ability to step away, even if you're like, okay, hold on, excuse me, I have to go to the restroom, and you let that anger out somewhere else. Some kind of way separate yourself. And I'm really thinking about different ways that I can do that as well. So you're not alone when you have those feelings of anxiety, when you have those feelings of anger, bouts of crying. It's just, emotions all out the wazoo, and then the hot flash comes in the moment of your emotional, what seems to be like an emotional breakdown. You're not alone. I believe that women who are dealing with the managing the symptoms of menopause, surgical menopause, how whichever way you're entered into menopause, we're all dealing with that at some point. I think for some, not as much. Like I said, I kind of believe there's a connection between if you were an emotional person during your period, if you're an angry person during your period, if your hormones were that out of whack, because like my hormones have always been out of whack because I had endometriosis, and so my hormones have never been regular. It's never been regular. Like it's just never been normal, I guess you could say. My normal was absolutely abnormal too. Yeah, it was absolutely abnormal. So for every woman is different. Every woman's experience is different. Point blank, we already know this. All of our bodies are different. There are changes in our bodies that's happening. Weight gain. Since for the past 4 years, going on 5 years, I have had issue with my weight. And I'm still not comfortable. I lost 15 pounds, but I'm still not comfortable. I'm not. And sometimes I do get discouraged, but at the same time, I'm like, you can do this. You can do it. And I push myself to do it. And so don't feel like as though, I know like when I post things on Instagram or I do videos and things like that, and I try to be very positive in my approach in things that I post and stuff. But I also have moments where I'm not as happy. And I post that stuff as well. Because I feel like if I'm showing like the facade, or everything's not always happy-go-lucky, everything's not always funny, some things are really hard to deal with. And so I like to post that as well, because we all have to see the different sides of menopause. I feel like showing the different sides of menopause is very important for me and for you and for anybody else who's trying to gather information about menopause, because everybody's menopause is different, but you can identify with something. Everybody may not experience everything that I'm going through, but you can identify with something that I'm going through. You can identify with 2 out of 3 posts, whatever the case may be, but you can identify with something. It may not be happening to you as extreme as it is happening to me, but it's something that you can identify. And some people are probably experiencing things that I've never experienced. And so it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience for me as well, where I'm doing even more research to find out, okay, so what's that about? Is that a symptom of menopause as well? Because there's so many symptoms of menopause that is not really talked about. Your doctor isn't going to tell you about your anxiety. He doesn't or she doesn't talk to you about well, mine didn't. I still love my doctor, y'all. No lie. But there's things that some physicians don't talk about, and whether it be a man or a woman, it's either because they've never experienced it, right? They've never experienced it, or it's just not a conversation that they're gonna have, because there's a laundry list of menopausal symptoms that are just mind-blowing, that I didn't realize until I had to Google it as I'm going through it. I'm like, something isn't right with me, because I really thought that I was having some type of psychotic break or something. And just knowing that I'm not mentally disturbed or distraught, that I'm actually okay, it makes me feel a lot better. But then it's like, how do I manage those things? And so that's where the learning part comes in. That's where my research comes in. That's where I try to share as much as I possibly can. Ladies, it's a journey, man. It's such a journey. Husbands, if you're watching, please just comfort your wives as much as possible. And sometimes that comfort is not a hug. It's not touching, because she probably does not want to be touched. Okay. It may just come from you fixing her a glass of water. Okay. Making sure the AC is as low as it can possibly get. Okay. When she comes home. It's cooking for her sometimes. It's, just letting her be, but then at the same time being supportive. It's kind of weird. Every woman is different. Like I said, she may want that hug at times. And ladies, we got to communicate these things. We are not, I have a best friend. And so in talking to her, she understands my menopause. She understands me. And sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, am I a good friend? I feel like I'm all over the place, and I almost like I don't deserve to have a friendship like this. Now, this is my, I'm processing all of this. Now, this is not what I really feel right now. But these are times that I process that. And I could only imagine that you're probably processing the same thing, whether it be with family, friends, husband, whatever, even sometimes your kids. And so I'm like, what in the world? So sometimes she will let me go through my moments, and then she'll call me and say, hey, how you doing? Just checking on you, praying for you, sis, whatever, right? And then we may end up going out to eat or just hanging out, and I'll just blurt out and let her know what I'm feeling. And I'm like, I feel so lost, or I feel blah, blah, blah. I may feel, so out of control. And she's like, Amelia, you're very much so in control. And she'll remind me of when she first met me, about how I was emotionally to how I am right now, to how I'm managing and things like that. And she just encourages me along the way. She'll say, what used to take you a month or 3 weeks to overcome your low moments now takes you 5 minutes, now takes you 2 days, now whatever the case may be. And so that's encouraging to hear, because we don't necessarily see when we're making a change. It's the other people around us that sees when we're going through our phases, but then we're changing and things like that. So it's important for us to talk it out. I know. But it is important. It's important to communicate our feelings with the ones who are around us the most, because they are the ones who are that support for us. They are the ones that they're dealing with us as we're trying to deal with menopause. It's like they're fighting both things. Like they're trying to dodge, both things. And so we gotta learn to communicate. We have to learn to communicate. Communication is very important. And then again, that's where therapy comes in. Where you don't know how to manage you, therapy will help you to communicate with someone you don't know. They're non-biased. They're like these people that we will probably never see. And if you do, you don't have to acknowledge them. Yeah, that's the good thing about it, right? So, but these are individuals who are there to hear us and to help us to compartmentalize all of our emotions and our feelings and deal with each one in its respective place. And that's what I love about therapy. I also love that when my therapist first told me what you're feeling is normal, what you're feeling makes sense, I broke down and cried, because I was like, what? I do make sense. Like I don't mean to, my intention is not to see somebody else happy becoming a mother. My intention is not to be unhappy seeing children play in the playground. It's not my intention. But it's the emotion that I have knowing, that I cannot have children. For some women, it's knowing that you won't be able to have any more children. Like, you probably planned out a whole, like, I'm gonna have kids and da da da. You may have been planning to have kids. You probably were trying, and you ended up having to have a hysterectomy. Women who have had multiple miscarriages and dealing with infertility but still trying, and they're going through the processes of IVF and all this stuff. And so it's very hard. That's a whole nother video. I think I'm going to do another video on that. But we're dealing with so much. Those of us who are young, like right now I'm 38, so I'm kind of, it's still a little bit abnormal for me to have menopause because I look kind of young. But when you're in your 20s, I have come across, there have women who have messaged me who were in their 20s and who had to have radical hysterectomies or partial hysterectomies, but they're still experiencing symptoms of menopause, which is very much so possible because of the decrease in the hormones and things like that. So there are women in their 20s, some young girls, like teenagers, who have had to have this surgery and are going through menopause at such young ages. I was 33 when I had mine. And for my doctor, I was the first radical hysterectomy on someone young for all of my doctors. So all of my doctors, I had three physicians. I had 3 physicians during my hysterectomy surgery, and none of them have performed this type of procedure on someone my age. So I was like the youngest. But there are women who have had it much younger, and to go through all of that, and I took it upon myself not to do hormone replacement therapy. And a lot of people are like, oh, you need to do it. You have to take it because this is what's going to help you in these different areas and things like that. And I absolutely understand. But for me personally, when I do my research, and after talking to doctors and different nurses, I realized that it is not for me. And to be honest with you, HRT may not work for everyone. It's a 50-50 chance of it actually working and helping you with your symptoms. So I have chosen to do it naturally, and it's possible. It's possible. Whichever route you take, it's possible to take control of your life. And so I just want to encourage you to take control of your life. This is not whatever you've dealt with in your life, because to have surgical menopause, that means you've dealt with some type of disease that has caused you to have surgically induced menopause, to have a hysterectomy. And you have to know that you are strong enough to combat this menopause. Because if you combated endometriosis, fibroids, cancer, polycystic ovarian syndrome, ovarian failure, whatever it is, adenomyosis, whatever it is that you combated then, you could definitely combat this now. And it may feel like, well, I didn't combat it because, and that's actually a feeling that I felt like I didn't combat it because I had to have a hysterectomy. No, you fought. You fought for years. If I know anything, you fought for years, because I was 9 when I started my menstrual, 10 years old when I actually started cramping, and it got worse and worse through the years. I was a child going through all of this, still managed to go to school, managed to get pretty good grades, go to college, even though I pretty much had to fight the school to get back into, to not suspend me because of my endo. I can't wait to share stories with you guys about that. That's actually upcoming in a book. But I had to fight my way back to school, to stay in school because of endometriosis. This is not something, menopause is like, I look at menopause like, man, this is only one obstacle, man. This ain't nothing. I'm finna tackle this. It's a beast. Definitely. It is a beast. But I'm gonna tackle this thing. Like, I'm gonna get control of myself, my emotions. This is my body. I'm gonna get control of it. And I'm gonna learn as much as I possibly can about this and about my body. And I'm going to advocate for myself in the doctor's office when it comes to whatever test I want ran, and just information that I need. You know, I had to really be firm with my physician and say, I'm not doing hormone replacement therapy. I'm just not. And I had to be okay with that, and he had to be okay with that. And if I'm saying no to it, now what am I going to do to counteract what's happening in my body? How can I now improve my quality of life? What is my quality of life going to look like? Ladies, you can do it. You can take this beast on. You got this. You got this. I'm telling you. It takes nights and nights of prayer for me. Constant prayer. My friends who are supporting me through this process, my family who understands this process with me and just helping me through this thing. You have to communicate, have this circle of people around you. I have coworkers. I've shared this with my coworkers, and they know and they understand, and they're always encouraging me as well. They're encouraging me as well. Even my supervisor, who I should have, you know, I should have got him written up, probably fired. No, not fired. Wasn't that bad, but we have control. You have control. You have control. It's very important for you to know you have control. Take deep breaths when you feel that sense of doom and anxiety. Remove yourself from certain situations when you feel yourself feeling overwhelmed. Start talking to yourself. If you're in your car, you're having road rage, you are crying uncontrollably because you just had a thought of something, and you're crying, just begin to talk to yourself out loud. Don't just, crying is okay. Like I said, it's always okay. But when you feel like you're losing control, talk to yourself. Just start telling yourself, you're okay. You're really okay. We're going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to learn. I'm going to take control of myself. I'm going to take control of my life. Just start talking to yourself. And trust me, it helps. It helps. It's a daily thing. Nothing comes like that. Nothing is that easy. But it's a daily process. And that's why, like, I feel like I'm here. That's why I started my videos and did my, started with my Instagram and, you know, my brand Millennial and Menopause, because I want women to feel heard. I want women to understand that they're not alone. I want to be a voice to share what we're feeling to other people and to help them understand in any way possible, help you to find your voice so that you can communicate with the people around you and communicate with your physicians and things like that. And we're all one voice, and we are making a difference, and we are going to make a difference. And hopefully there'll be different things that, when I learn these different things as I'm going through this journey in the natural way, like I will share as much as possible of the things that I learned to help you guys out. Again, I'm not a physician. So these are everything that I share. Talk to your physician about, do your own research as well. But it's just things that I learned that I feel like could help, because if they've helped me, then maybe possibly they could be of help to you. I really hope that this was encouraging for you. I hope that through this journey that I'm able to share even more information that can help you through the process. If you have any questions for me, I take questions. You can go ahead, leave a comment down below. Let me know how this video has helped you, or any of my videos have helped you. Let me know if any information or things that you would like me to do other videos about or posts about. If you're not following me on Instagram, go ahead and do so now. Millennial and Menopause. Check out my website, millennialandmenopause.com. You can join my email list. And right now, if you join my email list, I have a vitamin worksheet. It's not really a worksheet. It's like an informative vitamin sheet. And so it's about vitamins. It's not a list of vitamins, but it's about vitamins. And how to see if the vitamin you're taking is actually GMO or if it's really organic. I know. When I read this stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to now throw away all of my vitamins and buy real organic vitamins? But that's how it goes sometimes. So sign up for my email list. I don't bombard your emails at all. I will send out posts if I do a new blog, if I have a new video, or if I'm gonna start a challenge or anything like that. So yeah, welcome to my channel for those of you who haven't come before, or it's your first time. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click on the notification bell to know when I post a new video. I'm so happy that you came. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, toodles.